Board of Education regular meeting to order. Tammy, would you call roll?
Ms. Armstrong,
Here.
Dr. Baker, Mr. Brown, Mr. Kleppel,
Here.
Ms. Shannon,
Here.
Ms. Soteropoulos,
Here.
Ms. Vasquez.
Yes.
Yes.
Dr. Baker. Gotcha.
All 7 board members are accounted for. May I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved?
Second.
Wow. Soteropoulos, Kleppel. Tammy, would you call roll?
Ms. Soteropoulos,
Yes.
Mr. Kleppel,
Yes.
Ms. Armstrong,
Yes.
Dr. Baker, Mr. Brown, Ms. Shannon,
Yes.
Ms. Vasquez.
Motion carries 7-0. That will move us to item 3, which is executive session. A closed session in accordance with the Illinois Open Meeting Act 5 ILCS 120/2C will be necessary to consider one or more of the following subjects, including but not limited to 120/2C1, appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance. May I have a motion?
So moved?
Soteropoulos, Brown. Tammy, did you call roll?
Ms. Soteropoulos,
Yes.
Mr. Brown, Ms. Armstrong,
Yes.
Dr. Baker, Mr. Kleppel,
Yes.
Ms. Shannon,
Yes.
Ms. Vasquez.
Motion carries 7-0. The time is 5:34. The Board of Education is in exec session. Good evening. The time is 6:03. The Board of Education is back from exec session. That will move us into Agenda Item 4, which is communications. And I will turn this over to you, Dr. Boozer.
Is that not coming up? There we go. All righty, well, good evening. Got a few things we want to celebrate, and as always, I'm going to continue saying and speaking into existence, it is a great day in Unit 4. Doesn't mean we don't have things we need to work on, but we have a lot to celebrate, and that's what we're going to continue to do. So we want to start with saying thank you. Last Friday was Veterans Day, and we celebrated Veterans Day, and we want to say thank you to all of the veterans. So we want to take a moment to say thanks to all who have served or are serving to protect our country. And I also want to give a heartfelt thank you to our Unit 4 colleagues who are veterans. And so we just want to say how much we appreciate all of the veterans. So thank you. Also, this month, we honor National Native American Heritage Month. November is National Native American Heritage Month. This is a time to celebrate the rich histories, diverse cultures, and important contributions of our indigenous peoples. So we honor our National Native Americans. All righty. Also, this week is National School Psychology Week. Together we shine. Last week was National School Psychology Week. I'm a week behind. But we appreciate all of our school psychologists and mental health workers for their dedicated work to improve the mental health of our students. And I'm going to have to also put in there for our staff members as well. So thank you to all of our school psychologists and our mental health workers. All righty. Let's keep rolling. I tell you, there's things going around in the community. And with COVID and RSV and other respiratory infections and things of that nature are happening. So we just want to remind everybody to continue to wash your hands carefully and thoroughly. But also we just want to remind people that this Saturday is COVID vaccines for children. CU PhD will host a vaccine clinic for children. And so the QR code is here. You can click on that. It's this Saturday. And more information, if you want more information, just follow the QR code on this flyer. We'll also have it posted on our social media pages. But COVID is still here, along with other things going on, and we want to continue to keep our schools open and safe for our staff and for our children. So let's get vaccinated. All righty, we also want to shout out our Central Maroons sectional champs. We're so proud of the Central's girls swim and dive team. They are our sectional championship. They won the sectional championship, so we wanted to say well done. Look at them, and they can stay afloat in there, or some of them can stand and hold the plaque there, so it's pretty awesome and pretty cool. If you've never got a chance to watch them, please get an opportunity. They are amazing. Also, we want to shout out to Carrie Busey, the art display. The art teacher, Mr. Odom, and his students worked with the UIUC College of Art and Design, specifically with printmaking Professor Emmy Langscheit, to create this beautiful paste-up mural depicting native Illinois prairie plants. It is absolutely beautiful, so please, if you have not got a chance to go take a look, please do so, and we will also keep this posted on our website as well. A special shout out to our very own principal, Mr. Christian Mahone. He was a special guest on the Jennifer Hudson show, and then he was shooting some hoops with Jennifer Hudson and during that appearance, and so she surprised him with tickets for his entire school to attend the upcoming Chicago Bulls game. He was amazing. If you get a chance to please go to YouTube and watch the interview. It was outstanding. He really represented Unit 4 well, and himself and his family. So we want to give a shout out to Mr. Christian Mahone. Job well done. Also, we want to say, we finally got through our ribbon cutting ceremonies at IPA, Central, and Edison, an opportunity to meet some amazing staff members from Unit 4 and from our architects and our builders. It was phenomenal, so we want to say thank you to everyone who came out to the ribbon cutting ceremonies at all 3 locations. It was a great celebration, and we are appreciative to our taxpayers for supporting these projects to ensure our children have beautiful learning environments. And you see the smiles on those faces. We invited past superintendents and administrators and board members and city people to be a part of these ribbon cutting, because with all the hard work that went into it, we just wanted to let everyone see what an amazing turnout the buildings are. We have beautiful buildings on the outside and the inside. We just also want to make sure that the work that's happening on the inside matches the facilities, so we're grateful for that. Also, last Monday, we had our district-wide PD for our November 7th early out. So all of our staff members had an opportunity to choose from 40 relevant breakout sessions. They were for our licensed certified staff and our classified staff. They got to choose where they wanted to attend for professional development, and many of the sessions were led by our own folks. We had sessions that were out at U of I. We had some at Parkland. One of my favorite sessions that I got to attend was the Teach, and it talked about the Asian American history. It was outstanding. And so we were really pleased to be a part of some of these conversations and the learning that took place. There were, oh my gosh, I would say it was about 40 breakout sessions. And so we're looking to continue this work because professional development and poured into our staff members. So I want to say thank you to the board for helping us to get to this point where we have the early dismissal. It's time well spent. We have to pour into our teachers that we get with the pedagogy in order to do the work, because when our teachers are well equipped and resourced, then our students will benefit from it, and our schools will only get stronger and better. So this was just a few of the pictures that we had. The AVID session was amazing as well. So we had a session on trauma, a session on supporting our LGBTQ plus staff and students and things of that nature. So we had some great breakout sessions, and we were really excited about the turnout. And we have a lot of feedback from our staff, and our principals were like saying thank you as well, because it's an opportunity for them to learn right alongside their teachers. We also want to talk about the new Central and Centennial have been selected by the College Board to pilot an African American Studies program for AP, Advanced Placement. So with this, we have the interdisciplinary course reaches to a variety of fields such as literature and arts and humanities, political science, geography, with the contributions, vital contributions and experiences from our African American people and families. And so we're really excited about this, because this course is designed to offer high school students an evidence-based introduction to African American studies. And so it's a pilot, so we'll give you more information about how it's going and how they're getting credit and things of that nature. So look forward to hear more about that. So we're really happy about this pilot. We also have another pilot. It's a dual credit course for next year, Strategies for College Success. And then this course is designed to help prepare our students to succeed in college. And especially in this time, right after the pandemic, we're kind of sort of in it, but making sure that our students are prepared as they leave Unit 4 to succeed in college and beyond in their career and life planning. So students be able to analyze their own personal, academic, and career educational development, and they can select the appropriate college pathway in which they want to take. And this course is offered as a dual credit course through Parkland, so we're really excited about that. It's going to help our students earn both high school credit and 3 hours of Parkland college credit. So I always say to my families, that means money you can keep in your pocket when you can get those dual credit hours when you're still in high school. So we're excited about that as well. It's that time of year to look at our enrollment overview. So the official data collection was submitted to Illinois State Board of Education on October 1st, and we do that every year. And this year, on October 1st, we were at 10,358 students, and each of the grade levels are listed there. So that's exciting for us there. And I also have a picture here of the trend And you can see from 2018-19 to this year, 2022, 2023, and how it's trending up. We had a dip in 2020, 2021 with COVID, but you can see we're still trending back up. So we're at 10,358 students in Unit 4. And this next slide here shows you by grade level from 2018 through now. So you can see the numbers here. And each year, it seems like it's just growing, and we're excited about that.
What happens? What happens?
Use your microphone.
What's happened the past 2 years in the ninth grade?
Ninth grade, that's a great question, and we kind of talked about it last year, and I can mention again this year. Some of those are your true freshmen, and some are repeat freshmen. So that's why the numbers look like that. And so those who don't have enough credits to be considered a 10th grader, they're short credits, they're still ninth grade. So some of those are COVID. And so we're working on that, and so we have some interventions and things in nature to work toward to help get them back on track. Good
And
question.
what is G0 through G3, that last line?
That's the young
Oh.
adult program.
Young adult program, yeah.
All right.
Which is also trending significantly higher.
Because you can notice from 2018 to now, it's from 19 to 30. So, good questions. We also want to remind all of our families, attending school is beneficial. Attendance is one of the most powerful predictors of academic success. So school success starts with attendance. So we need every Unit 4 student at school every day for the entire school day. This is vital to prepare our students to be college and/or career ready. It is one of the areas that we are monitored, and there's a score, and we talked about this a little bit before. There's a difference between chronic truancy, which is unexcused absences, and then chronic absenteeism, which doesn't matter if you have an excuse or not. If you're not at school, you can be marked as chronic absenteeism. And for the past couple of years, we've been trending high in the chronic absenteeism, and so that's why we're pushing hard on school attendance. We cannot get better if our students are not in attendance. No matter how much our teachers work, how much professional development, it doesn't work if we don't have our students in school. So that means vacations, getting your hair fixed, done, things of that nature. We have to see if we can work around the school time. So this is very beneficial, school attendance. Okay, guess what? E-learning days again. We're in Illinois. It's cold, and with the cold comes that icky white stuff, the snow. So just want to remind everyone that winter weather is upon us. It's unpredictable from time to time, so this is a good time to remind families about e-learning days, emergency days, so please have your contingency plans ready. So what this means is we shall announce the possibility of an e-learning day as soon as soon as practical. So the goal is to announce it no later than 2 o'clock the day before the possibility of having an e-learning day. And that's so our staff members can be ready, and so that the kiddos can take their Chromebooks home so that they can be ready to work at home if we need to. It also allows our families time to make necessary arrangements. And then once the possibility of an e-learning day has been announced, the district will continue to monitor the weather forecast closely, and as soon as it becomes clear that we will not be able to hold school in person, a final decision to hold an e-learning day will be made, and another announcement will go out to our families, staff and families, and we're working hard to make sure that we get that out as soon as possible. We know we don't like to dismiss school because of snow. We don't like to have that pause, but sometimes we have to do what we need to do in order to keep everyone safe. So activities and practices and rehearsals which occur outside the normal school day would be addressed on a case-by-case basis. So just because we cancel school in the morning or whatever for the day doesn't mean that the other activities will be canceled. Those are case-by-case when an e-learning day is confirmed. So, can't believe I'm talking about snow. So that is all that I have for you on today. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Boozer. That will move us to item 5, which is a public hearing on school calendar waiver. I'll turn this over to Dan Casillas.
Good evening. At this time, the district is seeking a 5-year waiver of the school calendars. Public Act 96-0640 was enacted on August 24, 2009. This public act added new language to Section 24-2 of the Illinois School Code 105 Illinois Common Statutes 2/5-2 through 3.25, stating that school board or eligible entity is authorized to request a waiver or modification to the school calendar for use of bank time in 360-minute blocks, one full day, instead of 6 120-minute blocks, with early student dismissal as in-service days. Per the Champaign-Ford Regional Office of Education, districts are to hold public hearing and submit the Teacher Institute Workshop Days waiver modification application to the Illinois State Board of Education every 5 years. The last time we submitted an application was in 2007, and our waiver ends, it was granted from July 2018 to June 2023. The full day will increase vigor, relevancy, and focus of professional development opportunities for district personnel. The required notices for the public hearing have been posted on the district website, sent to newspaper and state legislators. After taking input during the public hearing, the board should vote on the proposed Teacher Institute Workshop Day waivers. For our current 2022-2023 school calendar, we use 3 waiver days, one October 20th, March 9th, and then May 26th.
But we can hold the hearing now, it's not coming.
That's correct.
Correct. Okay, may I have a motion?
So moved?
Soteropoulos Vasquez, open the public hearing. Would you call roll, Tammy?
Ms. Soteropoulos?
Yes.
Ms. Vasquez?
Yes.
Ms. Armstrong?
Yes.
Dr. Baker?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Kleppel?
Yes.
Ms. Shannon?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0. As part of the public hearing, there is a opportunity for public comment on this topic. Should anyone like to comment on the school calendar waiver? Any questions from the board? I have a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved?
Soteropoulos Vasquez. Tammy, would you call roll?
Ms. Soteropoulos?
Yes.
Ms. Vasquez?
Yes.
Ms. Armstrong?
Yes.
Dr. Baker?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Kleppel?
Yes.
Ms. Shannon?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0. That concludes the public hearing. However, this is an action item. Does that come later, or is it in consent? Thank you.
Yes, it is
Thank
consent.
you, Tammy. Okay. Are there any other public hearings in this meeting? I was looking, okay, thank you. Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Thank you, Mr. Casillas.
Thank you.
That will move us to agenda item 6, which is reports, new business. Item A is the federal grants update. I'll turn this over to Ms. Rhonda Thornton. I just want to make sure everyone knows we have a board member who is ill, attending via Zoom, so microphone use is needed so that she can hear. Thank you.
All right, good evening. So I'm here this evening to give you an update on federal grants that Unit 4 receives. So All the work that we do, we always want to take it back to our Unit 4 vision and mission of empowering each learner to thrive in a diverse and changing world, with our mission being to positively transform learning and life outcomes for students through educational justice, equity, and excellence. So Unit 4 receives several title grants and other federal grants. Typically, in a given year, we would bring the grants to the board as an action item. And this year, since I've been at this role for the last 3 years, we haven't done a full presentation to let the board and the listening audience kind of have a better understanding of the different federal grants that we receive and some of the requirements and things that we must do to take the grants. So Title I, Part A, this is the official title from the U.S. Department of Education. It is Improving the Academic Achievement of the Disadvantaged. And so these funds are intended to increase student achievement through supplemental services and programs. And that word supplemental is really important when we're looking at Title I. And it really is looking at the low-income and academically at-risk students. So whenever we take grant funds, there's usually lots of requirements, or I call them strings, that are attached to the money, right? Things that you must do to be able to take the funds. So a few things to better understand Title I guidelines and requirements are that the Title I allocation is generated by the low income percentage of the students within Unit 4. And to actually qualify, a school must have a low-income percentage of 40% or more to be considered a Title I school. So that's just one of the things for Title I. Secondly, Title I, the money follows the student. So if a student lives within the Unit 4 boundaries and their families choose to send them to a non-public school, and they are considered Title I eligible, that money follows the students to their non-public school. And so we are required to do non-public consultation with the non-publics in our area. So I meet with them twice a year, and we outline the goals for their Title I program. And then we have direct oversight into the program that they provide for their students with the Title I funds. The Title I grant is also a formulary allocation, so this is not a competitive grant. It's not something that we have to write for and then hope that we receive. So it's based upon a distinct formula that is set by the U.S. Department of Education and the federal government. So it is considered a very stable revenue source for us. Additionally, some grants allow for you to have set-asides or to set things aside to say these are district initiatives. Some grants, they mandate certain set-asides. And so one of the nice things about Title I is that we are allowed to do some district set-asides for district initiatives. Furthermore, we are allowed to have carryover funds. And so for Title I, we can carry over up to 15% of the total allocation from year to year. Other grants, they have a sunset date, and if you don't spend the money, you don't spend the money, and the rest of it goes back to the state. So it's nice that with Title I, we do have the carryover funds allowed. And then one of the final requirements for Title I is we are allowed to do an extended grant year. And so our grant cycle is actually 14 months long. So basically, the funding starts, for example, July 1st, 2022, and those funds can be spent all the way through August 31st of 2023. So that allows us to have funds to spend for summer programming and summer expenditures. It makes it a little bit tricky because then your new money starts again on July 1st. So you're always kind of balancing back and forth for those couple of months. And Linda in the business office, we always work very closely on ensuring which grant year we are using because of the extended grant period. So Unit 4's allocation for this year is a little over $3.9 million. And we'll talk a little bit about how we spend those funds in a minute. A couple other things when we're looking at title grants is that, remember I said supplemental is really important when we look at Title I. And so there is this rule of supplement versus supplant with Title I. And so the expenditures should not take the place of something the district is required to support or an expenditure the district is already supporting. So we can't do cost shifting, basically, with our Title I funds, right? So think of this as kind of your add-on or something that sits on top of what the district already covers. So for an example, I know that the K-5 ELA pilot is taking place this year. So let's say at the end of the year, they land on Wit and Wisdom. That's one of the ones that they're piloting, right? The district is required to pay for that curriculum. That is the core curriculum, right? Title would not be able to pay for that because it is a district responsibility. However, this summer, we brought to the board, and the board approved, a supplemental program, Foundations, because it sits on top of our regular core curriculum. So we always have to be really careful when we're looking at our Title I funds that we are making sure that it's supplement versus supplant. Additionally, with Title I, schools are allowed to offer either a targeted assistance program or a school-wide program. And you can tell by the name of the nature of the program, right? Targeted assistance means that the students that qualify are the only students that are able to participate in the instructional program. So in my example of Foundations, if a school were operating a targeted assistance program, only those eligible students would be able to benefit from the Foundations support, right? In a Title I school-wide program, though, the Title I funds are intended to upgrade the entire educational program, and thus all students are able to benefit from the services. For Unit 4, our Title I program, we have 16 of our schools that actually qualify for Title I. We have 2 non-title schools, which are Cary Busey and Southside, because they do not qualify and meet the 40% low income target. Additionally, all of our Title I schools operate a school-wide program. Therefore, the title program in each of the schools benefits all of the students. To qualify to have a school-wide program, you do have to put together a school-wide plan, and so all of our schools have done the school-wide plan, and that then allows all of the students to benefit from the title program. So here's kind of a breakdown of the expenditures for Title I, and just a few of the highlights from this breakdown is that in the top 2 lines, you will see that about 81% of the funds actually are direct instructional support to our students, right? You can also see that we do have we take some of those district set-asides that allow us to provide some district initiatives. And then finally, you can see the non-public allocation there. So for the non-public allocation, it is a targeted assistance program. They do not have the ability to have a school-wide program because, remember, the money follows the student. And so theirs is always going to be a targeted assistance program with Title I. And when we look at Title II, you will see kind of a difference with non-public. And the main difference there is that for Title I, not all of the non-publics in the area participate. We only have 3 of our non-public schools that actually take Title I funds from Unit 4. All right, so then this just kind of gives you, these are the federal Title I allocations. So remember that the federal government is the one that actually makes the determination as to how much money they're going to put in the budget for title programs nationwide. All of the money flows through the State Board of Education, and then they give us our final allocations. So you can see over the last 5 years that we were trending around 3.2, 3.3. Last year we did have a bump up to 4 million, and then this year we're down to 3.9. Again, this is based upon the federal allocations, right? So I'll be interested to see kind of if that trend, what happens next year, where will we go from here with our allocation? All right, Title II, Part A, again, the official title from the U.S. Department of Education is Preparing, Training, and Recruiting High-Quality Teachers, Principals, and Other School Leaders. So Title II funds are intended to increase student achievement by increasing teacher and administrator quality. So it's all about professional development. We are also allowed to take funds from Title II for teacher recruitment and retention. And in the last 2 or 3 years, we have allocated some funds for recruitment and retention, and we'll see that when we look at the budget here in a minute. All right, so the Title II guidelines, Title I, remember, was generated by the low income percentage. Title II is generated by overall enrollment. Again, the money follows the students, so there is non-public consultation. So when I meet with them twice a year, I'm going over their Title I and their Title II allocations. Title II is also formulary in nature, so it's not competitive. And we are allowed to have carryover funds with Title II. There is not the same requirement for Title II as there is for Title I. Title I, we can only carry over up to 15%. A district could carry over 100% of their carryover funds, but I don't know that I've ever known a district that did that. But there just isn't that same requirement with Title II. Again, the grant cycle is 14 months, again, allowing for us to have summer programming and expenditures. So our allocation this year is $402,109. Here is the budget breakdown then for Title II. And what I'd like to point out here is that most of the funds, over 60% of the funds, are spent directly on professional development, whether it's stipends, salaries, or purchase services for conferences, for consultants, those kinds of things. We have some recruitment and retention funds that we spend out of Title II. And then you'll notice that the non-public allocation, it is a larger percentage of the budget because we actually have 7 of our non-public schools that actually participate in Title II. Again, the 5-year trend, and so Dr. Boozer had just shared with you the enrollment, and so you can see our enrollment has been going up, and remember, Title II is based upon enrollment. But this is a good place to show you where the federal government, right, the different allocations each year from the federal government really determines that. So even though our enrollment has been trending up, our Title II funds this year actually went down. And again, a lot of that is based upon the federal budget. All right, before I move on to ESSER, I did want to say that there are 2 other title programs that the district is eligible for or participates in, and one of them is Title III, and that is for the multilingual students. And Via Delta Burtz oversees that program, and I believe she gave you an update when she shared with you earlier this summer when she talked about multilingual learners. The other one that we qualify for is Title IV, which is all about student supports. And Unit 4 traditionally we have the ability to transfer funds within the different title programs. And so we have traditionally transferred those funds from Title IV into Title I. And a couple of reasons why we do that. Number one is that Title IV actually has more mandated set-asides that we would have to participate in. And the second thing is that by rolling it into Title I, then it takes on all of the requirements of Title I. And because all of our schools are school-wide, it actually allows us to provide more supports for students in that way. And so that's why you don't see a slide up there for Title III or Title IV. So moving on to our ESSER funds, the Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief Funds. This was kind of the second bucket of the emergency relief funds. The first bucket, the CARES money, we spent that allocation, and that grant has been closed out for about a year or so now. So this is an active grant that we are spending and providing support to students and to schools. And it really is to address the impact of COVID-19 that it has had and continues to have on our schools. And so some of the ESSER requirements are, one of the things we had to do was we had to submit our return to learn plan to ISB, which we did back in 2021. And then the other requirement is that these funds must be spent by September 30th, 2023. So the ESSER 2 allocation for the district is a little over $11 million. And here is the budget breakdown for our expenditures and our budget for ESSER 2. And what I would like to highlight and point out for here is, we spent a bulk of the money on reopening So things such as nurses, O&M, all of the overtime, all of the cleaning supplies, all of the PPE, all of the testing supplies, all of the HVAC filters and upgrades, really preparing our schools for us to be able to have a more safe and secure environment. So some of the cameras, the communication devices, and Wi-Fi devices for buses, as well as, we spent some money in educational technology, just upgrading our network and our network security to make sure that we had a more robust infrastructure to be able to support our students in the event that something else should happen, like a COVID-19 pandemic, which I hope doesn't ever happen again. So that's ESSER 2. Finally then, the American Rescue Plan funds, or the ARP. Sometimes people refer to it as ESSER 3. But these funds are intended to safely reopen and sustain the safe operations of school, but also these funds really address the impact of COVID-19 on student learning. And so you'll see here on this next slide that there are some federally mandated as well as state-mandated set-asides. Remember when we talked about Title I, we said that we have the ability to do some district set-asides, but in some of the grants, they actually mandate certain set-asides. So for ARP, 20% of the funds have to go to loss of learning opportunities, and that is a federal mandate. And then the state added on a couple of additional reservations or set-asides for learning loss, summer enrichment, and after-school programs. And then finally, these funds must be spent by September 30th of 2024. So we have two kind of dates in mind for both of these funds, the September 30th of 2023 and then September 30th of 2024. So the ARP total allocation is just a little over $25 million. And here is the breakdown of the ARP budget. The thing I would like to point out here and the highlight is just that last item is that repair and expanded classroom spaces. And I know that there are a couple things on the board agenda for this evening. I know that Linda has worked with this with ROC and with the Finance Committee of really looking at the Columbia project, the Central and Edison roof repair, and the IPA boiler. So these are really opportunities for us to ensure that we have safe learning spaces and that we have good air quality for all of our students. So that concludes my presentation on the federal grants. And at this time, I would take any questions you might have.
Thank you so much. It's a report only, not actionable. Any questions? Ms. Vasquez.
Thank you. I'm just curious, which of the three schools that are, the privates that are taking from Title I and the 7 from Title II? Do you have those off the top of your head?
Sure. The three that take the Title I are Holy Cross, St. John's, and Montessori. And then the 7 that take Title II are Holy Cross, St. John's, Montessori, St. Thomas More, Judah Christian. I'll have to get you the other two. I wrote down the Title I ones because I knew them right off the top of my head, but the Title II ones, I will get those for you, for sure. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Heather. Could you clarify, when you say non-public, you mean not for profit? We do not, this doesn't allocate to for-profit.
Correct, there are private schools. Mm-hmm.
They're private, but they're not for profits. There are some private schools in town that are for profit. They would not be able to get access to these grants, or they are able to?
I'm not sure the answer to that, or do you know?
I don't know the answer to that. Why don't you give a name of the profit school?
Right.
She can help you with that. Would it be Next Gen maybe, and Academy? Is that what you're thinking? Yeah, so I don't know the answer, but that's what she's asking. Those
I
two
do have to
schools.
reach out to all of the schools, but not all of them take any funds from us. I mean, there are a few that don't take funds from us.
And not all qualify.
Yeah, that's the
And that's,
question.
yeah,
Yes.
just because we have to reach out to them all, but they
Yes.
don't all qualify. And that's a list, we can get that information from ISB
sure
because
can.
they are the ones that
Directed?
direct that.
Direct
That
us,
isn't-
yes.
that-
I'm
that's
just
not us.
curious if legally, if that's
Yep.
what they are able to do. Okay, thank you.
My guess is because the money follows the student, but I can find out more for you. Yep.
Great, thank you. Any other questions? Dr. Baker?
We had a number of focus groups. Was it last summer? Was it last summer? That's weird. Of community members and others that had talked through different ideas. Did anything bubble up from those conversations that resulted in that, maybe in the last slide, or?
I think definitely the repair and the expansion of classroom spaces were ones that we talked about during those focus groups.
Any other questions? Thank you. I'm excited about the Columbia.
Yes.
And accessible finally, so thank you. Thank you so much for the presentation.
Thank you.
That'll move us to item B, which is Care Solace Mental Health Care Update. Turn this over to Dr. Harden.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to Care Solace update. Okay. Of course, we'll start with our vision, our mission, empowering each learner to thrive in a diverse and ever-changing world as we positively transform learning and life outcomes for students through educational justice, equity, and excellence. A few months ago, right about a year ago, we brought to you an idea of having some assistance in how we work with our students and our families and our staff members that are experiencing either some form of trauma or some kind of just tough time, right? And we brought it forward to the board a couple of times, and in May of 2022, the board approved, and we moved forward with a partnership with Care Solace. Immediately, so starting that following month, right, June and July, we started to have trainings with Care Solace for cabinet members and key personnel around the district, just some leaders and leadership around the district that are 12-month employees. On August 3rd, we then rolled it out to all of our administrators, and we trained every single administrator in this district on what Care Solace is, how to execute warm handoffs, and how to make sure that we are communicating this message as much as possible to all of our families and all of our students and all of our staff members to make sure everyone is healthy and in a good space. So from August all the way through present, we've had ongoing training for our social workers, counselors, school psychologists, and other personnel around the district. Not only training, but just ongoing professional development as well. Now, I know this is a little hard to see, but if you can just kind of tune your eyes up a little bit, you can get in there. You can see some of the key performance indicators as reported from Care Solace. Now, we do not have names, of course, but these are some of the interactions that have taken place. So the first line talks about inbound interactions. That's just simply how many times people have either called Care Solace or searched the website from our district's specific using our district's portal. And it shows how many folks have just tried to learn something about Care Solace. So, of course, starting in August, the number was going to be a little bit lower, and then it grows. The number reported as 91 in November was as of Friday. And November and December, though they have fewer days of the school year, it's a heavier month, right? So 91 that's a pretty good number, right? If there were the same number of school days in November as they were in October, we would have outpaced October. And the same goes with December. We know holidays can be tougher times for many of our families. Communication saves. So when people either reach out by phone, by email, or what have you, Care Solace makes note of that, and they save the number of communications so we can have a pretty good estimation or a pretty accurate number of how many times some of our families or people from our school community have reached out to Care Solace. A warm handoff. The warm handoffs, again, are when when a person needing help has reached out to Care Solace, or one of our staff members has reached out to Care Solace on behalf of a family and started the process of handing them off to see if the family is wanting, or the student or the staff member is wanting or needing some additional supports from a professional, from a licensed clinical professional. Not only warm handoffs through the staff, but also family-initiated cases. You can see there have been some, not as many, but there have been some family-initiated cases, and we are very happy about that as well. Total appointments to care. Currently, we are at 29. Now, according to Care Solace, the way that Care Solace From warm handoffs and family-initiated cases, they normally hover at around 18% of families that follow all the way through and take an appointment and get into some kind of care. So if you add up our numbers and do the division, we're at about 20%. So Care Solace is working for us. They are normally at about 18%, and 20% of our families who have done a warm handoff or a family-initiated have gone through into some kind of appointment. Of course, there have been some anonymous searches as well, folks who just don't want to leave any information, and we can see those numbers as well. Now, I wonder, can I squeeze this? I can't. The next slide, if you look at the top left, you can see is broken down by gender or how someone wants to report themselves. So we see 50% of our people who have initiated any kind of contact with Care Solace has reported as female, 45% is male, and 5% is non-binary. The middle section at the top, age groups. So the blue is from ages 3 to 11, which is 53%. The orange is from ages 12 to 17, our secondary students, which is about 24%. And adults are right at 23%. And speaking with Care Solace, we were kind of asking, like, hey, why do we see so many at the elementary age? And Care Solace shared with us that it's something that they see regularly because most high schools have built-in supports. Most secondary schools have counselors and social workers and other built-in supports where elementaries generally do not have as many supports. So it's something that is seen in other school districts as well that Care Solace works with. Ethnicities. This is something that as we all, as the cabinet looked at it as a whole, we were very happy and impressed with that the ethnic breakdown of who is using Care Solace greatly resembles, it's not exact, but it greatly resembles the breakdown of our student population. And that's on the top right. So we have 40% white, about 38% black, which is orange. Hispanic is that pink color, which is 10%. Other would be 9%, and about 2% declined to answer. If you look at the bottom left quadrant, it's substance use, right? So if a family is seeking drug and alcohol support, the top is marijuana. The second one is alcohol, inhalants, opioids, and stimulants. The bottom right quadrant shows mental health concerns, with the blue being anxiety. Under that, we see depression. The pink is trauma. Disruptive behaviors under that. Marital is that greenish color, that pea green color. Suicide is below that, and then bipolar is the bottom. Lots of insurances. And this was also, we were a little bit, I'm not going to say skeptical, but anytime you purchase something new, you just really want to see if they do what they say they're going to do. And we can see that all the insurances that our school community have used as we've sought support from Care Solace. And Medicare, Medicaid is the number one at 27%. And then you can see all the way down the other insurances, including Health Alliance, Meridian, even no insurance at a sliding scale, Blue Cross Blue Shield, and a few others. Let's see, the top 10 providers and resources, starting at Rosecrance, Carl Psychiatry, and all the way down the list, Christie Clinic, East Aurora Counseling, Darren Rock. These are all of the providers that our families have used. Had a really good testimonial from one of our support services, a certified staff member that works in support services, and this person said, "This is extremely helpful to not have to do the legwork on connecting families with local mental health resources, in addition to the day-to-day task of school social work, especially since providers keep changing. Additionally, knowing where a family is at in the process of the warm handoff is helpful." This is from one of our staff members that just happened to reach out to Andy O'Neill and I, just praising Care Solace, and that really felt good. I think it would be remiss if we do a whole presentation on Care Solace and not talk about just ourselves. And if, knowing the season that we're in, if anyone needs support, There's a QR code right there. Please scan that QR code, email any of us. We were happy to share this information 24/7, 365 days a year. There's a phone number, there's the website for our portal, or you can just scan the QR code right there. I'm just going to let that sit for a second, just in case anyone wants to scan it.
And I just want to add, I love this piece because it's anonymous as well. So
Absolutely.
sometimes you just don't want people to know, you want some help, and you're still trying to seek some things out. So that's the beauty of this as well. You can do it without anyone even knowing. CARES Office will know, but it'll be in here as anonymous. And so that's the other reason why we really like this program.
Absolutely. And lastly, we are thankful for our community. This is the time where, we give thanks and we're thankful for everyone in our school community. So with that, are there any questions or comments that I can assist with?
Thank you, Dr. Harden. This is a report only. Any questions? Comments? Mr. Klippel?
Is that second to last slide something we could send home paper form?
It's been made available to our families, to our schools in paper form.
Okay.
I am not sure if every student received one in their book bag. This has been on our school website, and it still is on our school website, and we will make sure that in this season, especially when we know where we're trending, we'll make sure that we give it some top billing.
So we can put it on the district website, so it'll be in a central location, and then each building can put it on theirs as well. We can do it that way, too.
And we will also ask that we've already asked, but we'll ask again that the building send it home in their weekly flyers and weekly newsletters to parents.
Yeah. It's a good idea.
Any other questions? I'm grateful for this update. I was curious how this would work out, so thank you, Dr. Harden, very much.
I want to shout out Andy O'Neill. He's worked very hard. He and I have worked together, and he's just really been on it with the social workers and the student support services.
Awesome. Thank you. That'll move us to item C, which is the 2022 Illinois Association of School Boards, or IASB, Resolutions Committee Report. And you all received on the board agenda, you will have the committee's report, and I will turn this over to you, Elizabeth, if you'd like to share what you plan to do as our delegate, or ask us what you want us to do.
Good evening. I like that second idea. I know you all know this, but for the public, I am our IASB Division's Resolutions Committee Chair. So I was part of the Resolutions Committee meeting in August where we reviewed all of the resolutions that were submitted by school districts across the state. We discussed all of them. And the recommendations the board has read, they've also been made available to the public. We've received some emails asking us to vote one way or the other. And I'm also our board's delegate for the delegate assembly coming up on Saturday. So were there any questions? I'm very familiar with the resolutions. Were there any questions or concerns from our board on how I should vote?
Any questions for Elizabeth or comments?
I have a comment, if that's okay.
Yep.
So I was just hoping that we would be able to vote. I see that I was kind of disappointed with some of their recommendations, particularly in terms of alternative fueled school bus funding, firearm dealer location, and I'm not finding the other one, I'm sorry, the school safety fund. So, I'm sorry, the school safety fund they did recommend to adopt. So I'm just hoping that we can press for alternative funding for alternative fueled school buses, knowing that diesel fueled school, school buses have a disproportionate impact on poor and minority students when they go through those neighborhoods. Thanks.
Thank you, Kathy. And are these carryovers from last year? Are they just reworded them on the firearm safety? Remember last year they wanted, how did they tweak it? Do you recall?
So are you talking about the one that Ms. Shannon is referring to? Because
Yeah.
I heard her talk about, and I might have misheard because I was trying to write it down, the firearm dealer location.
Yeah.
So that, I believe, is new, and that is a resolution to change, and I apologize, I might be getting the specifics wrong. I believe right now there is there's a state law right now that says that a firearm dealer cannot be within 500 feet of a school. And this resolution, the proposed resolution, was to move it to 1,000 or 1,500 feet. The particular group of representatives from across the state that were in this resolutions committee saw it kind of came down to one of two issues. Okay, so sorry, to address your question, no, it's new. It's not a revised resolution from last year. The issues that were raised were mostly people who want to sell firearms should be able to open a business and advertise how they want. That's the particular makeup of this resolutions committee. But then another concern that was raised is knowing that we have a limited amount of, people who from IASB, we have a limited amount of resources when it comes to lobbying our legislators. Is it a wise use of our resources and time to change that? There was no data to show that changing the law requiring firearm dealers to move, would that really impact a lot of people? Would that really reduce the number of gun violence incidents in schools? There was just no data to support that.
Okay.
But Ms. Shannon, I don't disagree with you. I think we are in alignment here.
Yes, I know we are. I just wanted to make sure we brought it up and talked about it.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you did.
Any other feedback for Elizabeth as she heads to vote?
Do we need to agree to vote on the school bus funding?
I believe it was recommended do not adopt, right?
By the committee, but wouldn't it be voted
Right.
on?
No, it won't be voted on. So if a resolution was recommended do not adopt, the official stance is that resolution will not be voted on unless the submitting district appeals that decision. And if they appealed the decision, and we won't know about that until Saturday, the district will have to show up to the delegate assembly, and then the assembly has to vote. I believe it requires a 2/3 vote to even hear the appeal. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, seeing no further discussion, these have been in front of us for quite some time, and thank you for the time and energy you have spent attending on our behalf and going to the meetings and listening to these sessions. It's a lot of work.
It is.
Thank
It's
you.
good work, though.
Yep, I agree. Thank you. So will you let us know how it goes, maybe next meeting, or let us know how it goes if anything fun happens? Sometimes you never know what happens in those delegation
They're
assemblies.
very interesting. Yes.
They are very interesting.
I will update the board at our next meeting if anything is surprising.
Okay, great. Thank you, Elizabeth. Okay, that will move us to item 7, which is action agenda, new business. Item A is the approval of sub-recipient agreement between the City of Champaign, the Board of Education of Champaign, Unit 4 Schools for the Community Gun Violence Reduction Blueprint Plan. And I will turn this over to you, Dr. Ward.
Okay. In March of 2021, the President of the United States legislation
signed legislation that provided cities and towns with substantial financial assistance for COVID-19 recovery. The City of Champaign finalized a proposal in December 2021, and the proposal provided a strategy to create grant opportunities for various nonprofit organizations to provide gun violence prevention programming. As a nonprofit, the school district partnered with the city to create a comprehensive set of programs that would support youth and young adults in Unit 4. The grant amount that's set aside is $526,620, and is set aside for various positions that I'll talk about. It's a great day in Unit 4. My name is Dr. Angela Ward, and I want to talk to you about our partnership with the Blueprint. We start everything with our strategic plan, and the Blueprint suggestions and recommendations for use is aligned to not only instructional excellence, but educational access and community engagement, priorities 1, 2, and 3. This is just a highlight of the things that we have proposed to do with the money that's been set aside. The first thing would be to bring forward a program manager that would help implement the initiative. This full-time person would be responsible for oversight of all of the Blueprint programming. They would also be responsible for monitoring program outcomes, collecting data, and for evaluations, along with some creative additives that would need to happen, all directed at preventing violence and conflict with and among our youth. The other position would be 2 go-getters, year-round positions. You may recall that this is an initiative that the city and the district undertook prior to now. It was not a funded position, but we would be looking for 2 full-time positions that would oversee programs and coordinate activities that support prevention and interruption and work on interpersonal conflict, along with some unfinished learning and activities exposure for these youth that have been identified as participating in unwarranted and undesirable activities in the community. They may also be involved with law enforcement, probation, or other areas, and we want to make sure that we curtail a lot of that activity with the help of these 2 positions, one directed at boys and the other directed at our young females. The other position is, well, actually, the other is not a position, but it is just support for the Parent Academy and University. We have Parent University happening in a couple of places. That's at the LIFT program, and also with Dr. Harden, who works with our community engagement in general. However, we know that, depending on parents, it's not cookie cutter. Some parents need different things and different supports. So we asked to bring in support for 100 more families. And the city targeted a lot of areas where they saw gun violence happening. So we would target parents specifically in those areas as well to give them a lift as it relates to effective advocacy strategies and how they can navigate not just the community but our district and their students' learning journey. Kindergarten, middle, and high school readiness and how they can learn about the unspoken rules as far as curriculum and expectations. Effective use of technology at home, some things that we're seeing that sort of funnels over into the school area, and an academic planning that leads to success, because we know it all starts with a plan. And if you don't plan to succeed, you can definitely plan to fail. So we want our students to have a plan. Health, wellness, and nutrition, as Rhonda talked about with some of our ARPA funds, and financial literacy, as well as some of that political and social capital that our parents need to navigate this space. Workshops that will help build community and empower families are what we're hoping to come out of this, and that would be led by a lot of people with a culturally sensitive and culturally responsive lens. Brilliant, Bold, and Beautiful campaign launched a while back, and it sort of went on hiatus for a little bit. We want to bring that back because we know that positive images and just self-reflection is important to tear down a lot of the negative stereotypes. It offers a counter-narrative, and our students need to engage in activities that allow them to see themselves in a better light than what we get really saturated with in society. So we want to fund this program or initiative to take place once again, where 100 adults would be engaged with 100 young girls. and they would do at least 5 big initiatives throughout the community, not taken away from the fact they may also do some small things, but we hope to paint a different story for the children in our community. And we'd also like to bring forth some of the same things with our boys, and they get to name themselves because we know that Brilliant, Bold, and Beautiful is an initiative that is for our young ladies or those who identify as female for right now. So our males need something to call their own. And I think we heard that when we launched that campaign in the past. What are we going to do about our boys? And how do they see themselves as productive members of our community? So the other monies would go to intramural teams. We know that athletics really kick up at the secondary level. We got a chance to enjoy a lot of those and supervise those games and activities. We need to give our students access to something positive before they get to the secondary level. And so we have some of our elementary principals who are waiting and they're planning already to get their students involved. And we know that that physical exertion is important to not just relieve stress, but also to build self-esteem and for students to find something that they're great at. Some of the activities that our students can partake in includes soccer, volleyball, basketball, all of those things that are not offered as a team sport, but could be a club sport or other activity. For those who have access to finances, a lot of times you have Little League and other traveling teams, and some students don't have anything to be a part of, and we want to change that. Dance has been added. Talked to Tracy Jace just recently, and we do know that some of our unstructured time, like Saturdays, we don't have anything for our students to do. So that will be the first thing that we add on a Saturday. We know that sometimes the workers are few, but we agreed to be some people who will stand in the gap until we get other people to take that Saturday intramural and get some of our girls releasing stress and enjoying some of the more beautiful things that life has to offer. And so that's what we want to come and deliver with the Blueprint staffing. This is funded by the cities. This is not the district's money per se. They're using their ARPA funds to prevent violence, but we know the best prevention is early intervention. And so that's what this money is geared towards.
And I just want to add that this is a way that we can partner with our community. Cities providing the funds. We're helping to provide expertise and support, but also this is an opportunity for us to engage with our families. So if we have families who fall in these categories, who want to offer something, I'm sure we'll be reaching out to have conversations. How can you support? Because who knows our kids better than our families? So this is not just a Unit 4 city, it's a community. And this is just an example of how when we all come together, we can do something bold, brilliant, and beautiful, and our kids will benefit from it.
We're one of several partners. We have CU Tri, you have Carl, you have First Followers, and Youth and Family Peer Alliance. We have a lot of people that are pouring in, so hopefully we can sort of net the city and make it a great space to continue to grow. So with that being said, I guess I should probably finish my pitch. The administration is recommending funding 1 FTE as a program manager, 2 FTEs for goal-getters, stipends that will be consistent with other district stipends and similar activities, and the funding for the programs will come entirely from the city of Champaign.
Thank you, Dr. Ward. This is an action item. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Soteropoulos Baker. Questions for Dr. Ward? Comments? Any? Ms. Vasquez?
There's some seats with it, some teachers fill positions at the high school and the middle school level where they act as advisors, but they maybe don't get a stipend. Could any funds be, if it was an appropriate use of the funds, could this be a space where, say, I'm thinking of a group my son was involved with in Central, which had something to do with future business leaders, but they did great things in the community, like to raise money for awareness. Is that a space where any dollars like this could come from? The answer can easily be no, but I'm just curious if this is a space where we can also identify some support for teachers who are already doing things to make this classroom experience and the school experience more fulfilled for the student.
I think that they're seeking new initiatives that are targeting students in the the particular zones that have been identified, but we do have maybe an equity conversation where we can fund that differently. Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions? Dr. Baker?
Not necessarily a question, more of a comment. I think you were very much involved in many of these efforts prior to COVID, so I'm appreciative that we're trying to get back a little bit what COVID stole, especially in terms of the momentum of some of the brilliant, bold, beautiful. I remember those meetings. I remember I seen it on the bus, the signs, and then we went to not much. So I'm very appreciative. I think Heather and I have had an opportunity to get closer to goal-getters and the healing spaces, and I'm very much appreciative of the work that's been happening there. I think to date, one of the best projects, I see you, Mia, one of the best projects last year was when a member of our community came in and took pictures of the boys, and they got a chance to really see themselves. And I hope, I don't know what they're doing with those pictures, but I wish we could get them somewhere to put up, because these are our kids.
We're working on releases for those right now, parent releases.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So thank you to everyone involved in the programs, and we're trying. We are definitely trying. I think partnering makes a lot of sense. And if
Thank
we
you all
get
for
more
being
families
there.
involved.
I've seen you all over at the high school.
Thank you, Dr. Baker. Any other questions? Thank you, Dr. Ward. This is big work, and a big shout out of gratitude to the city of Champaign. And I know Joan Walls has been really strong pushing these programs forward, and it's fun to see it come to fruition. This is an action item. The administration is recommending the approval of the attached sub-recipient agreement between the City of Champaign and Unit 4 for the Community Gun Violence Reduction Blueprint Plan, and the final agreement is attached to the board docs for tonight's meeting. Seeing no other questions, Tammy, would you call roll?
Ms. Soteropoulos?
Yes.
Dr. Baker?
Yes.
Ms. Armstrong?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Kleppel?
Yes.
Ms. Shannon?
Yes.
Ms. Vasquez?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Ms. Armstrong, if I could, before we move to the next item, we are going to be posting for the program manager position now that it's been approved by the board, as well as our 2 goal-getters positions. So I know we have members of the community here tonight and watching who want to be involved, and so we'd love to have you submit an application if it's an interest area, and those will be posted in the next day or 2. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kleber. And Dr. Ward, we extend our gratitude to the city for this plan. Thank you.
And I'm sorry, before you go on, I would be remiss if I didn't say thank you to Linda for helping us through the legal aspects of all this. It looks like it's simple, but the documents and the legal pieces took us a little bit of time to get through all of this, because city work is a little different than school. We have different regulations and policies and things we have to follow, so thank you to Brenda, Linda, Angela, and Ken. For without them, we would not be sitting here right now. This was a long endeavor, but it's so worth it. Our kids in our community are so worth it, and I'm so excited about this. So,
And I won't be sending you my weekly message of when is this coming. It will switch to a different question, but I do appreciate the
yes,
report.
no problem. We just wanted to do it and do it right. So that was key. So,
Yeah, I don't think people really understand the legalities alone, and school code is not fun, so thanks, team. Okay, motion carries 7-0. That will move us to item B, which is the resolution approving the tentative levy and providing for a public hearing on said levy. I will turn this over to you, Ms. Matkowski.
Okay, thank you. So we are at that point of the year in November and December where we have to walk through the levy process. The board's heard this a number of times, but just as a reminder, this is the first of many, many little steps that we'll now be walking through as we go through the tax levy process. This particular meeting and presentation tonight is really to have approval from the board to go ahead and accept a tentative levy to be posted, and then set the date for the levy hearing, which would be December 12th, 2022. So at the next board meeting, and then we'll continue the process of adopting the levy. In between time, there will be a opportunity again for the Finance Committee, the ROC, any interested community members, anybody else that wants to come join the Finance Committee and the ROC Committee on November 30th. We do those meetings here. We are going to discuss the levy just to walk through some of the rationale and some of the smaller, more specific points around the levy. So again, that meeting will happen on November 3rd or 30th, and then on December 12th, we'll go ahead and do the full levy hearing. In the meantime, the levy will be posted in the News Gazette, and it will be available for anyone that is interested in seeing it. Additionally, all of the documentation and materials are on board docs. So anybody that would like more specific information on some of the other legal documents, it will be there. We'll go quickly through some of these because I know we have a long agenda tonight. And some of this for the board is fairly consistent year over year. Again, as we do property tax levy work, most municipal entities, including school districts and community colleges, property taxes represent the overwhelming amount of revenue that they receive every year. So this is a process that does get a little bit hair-raising as we walk through it in terms of its importance to the finances of the district. And again, this is going to be no different than in previous years. The life cycle for those that had forgotten last year is it's a long process. It starts basically with homeowners and developers and construction. When those properties are either sold on the market or brought to the market, a new apartment complex opens up, a new business opens up, that actually is the beginning of the process. The Board of Review each year will go through the county assessor office will begin with the township assessors going out. They will take a look at property values, new property that's come on, and then move that information to a more consolidated county assessor level. From there, that tax information, that property value information goes out to homeowners and business owners, property owners. They have an opportunity through the course of the summer and the fall to contest their property values. So a lot of times if you're a residential property owner, you know that you have an opportunity to go to the assessor's office or the Board of Review through kind of a paper process, online process, to be able to say you don't think your taxes or your property is worth that much. For those commercial property holders, generally it's commercial property owners who want a change in value of $100,000 or more, they have a more formal process. Over the last 3 years, we've seen a significant uptick in the numbers of properties that are coming before the Board of Review. We are at 110 this year, with a little under $250 million worth of property. For comparative sake, this represents about $5 to $6 million of tax revenue for the district. So these are really important conversations that we have to have with the Board of Review and property owners, and there's lots of back and forth that goes on with that. So we are in the middle of that right now. Eventually, the taxes will settle themselves out. We will pass the property tax levy in December. Tax bills will be finalized and won't go out to homeowners until sometime in the spring. And then the first installments are due in late spring or early summer, and then early fall. And then eventually the district gets their money, and then eventually we get to not be very panicky about not having enough cash flow. So it's, again, a very long process to get us through this as we walk down that road. EAV, just as a reminder for everyone, is assessed by the county assessor's office. It is basically market value with an equalizer. Generally speaking, the equalizer is almost always, unless you live in Cook County, 33 1/3%. And it's been that way for a very long time. It helps us equalize property across the state. Most of the state has an equalizer that is at 33 1/3. What causes market value to to come into play really, again, begins with homeowners who sell their property. When the Board of Review and the assessors are looking at property and comparables, what they are looking at first is the sale values that are happening. So if your neighbor sells the house at a tremendous price, you can almost always be sure that your property taxes at some point will follow that, because the value on your property will start to increase. For new construction, it's always a little bit tricky for those that bring new construction to market, because a lot of times it's based on the amount of the construction loan that you're taking out plus the value of the land. And when the assessor's offices are looking at that, that's how they get it. That, in large part, is what is partially causing this year's increase in the amount of cases that we're seeing at the Board of Review for commercial entities that are contesting their property values, mostly because they took out very significant construction loans, and that's really where the assessor's office starts the process, and so then we have to see where the comparables will land them. What is interesting for the board probably to note at this point, we're starting to switch back again between residential property and commercial property. We are always 50-50 between the two. For 22's tax cycle, what we are seeing is more commercial property coming on and less of a percentage that's attributable to residential. There's some good and some bad to that. It carries with it a whole lot of things, and it is a trend over time. We do watch. This is more of a longer-term summary of really where the property tax values are coming from in terms of the various categories. This is a short, quick history, basically in one page, of where property tax levies have been at in the past. The yellow line at the very bottom is where we're going to estimate the property taxes this year for the tentative levy. We are looking at about a 7.42% increase in our overall EAV. Part of this also includes the CPI conversation, which we're going to have in a second, because it's at its very highest point. New property is coming in also at almost a historic high at 79 million. So the back, if you look on that chart a little more closely, in 2017, you were a little over 80 million of new property. To hit 79 million of new property is a fairly aggressive clip on the part of new property coming in. The limiting rate extension, because of the combination of new construction and the level that the assessor's office has set reassessment across the county, will give us a tax rate, limiting rate that's fairly comparable to what it was the year before. That's a little bit of a misnomer. We'll talk about that because it's a math problem. We're going to hold the rate basically where we had the rate last year. The difficulty is for homeowners and for property owners, their actual value of their home is going to go up. So therefore, that rate against the value of the home is going to reflect an increase. We talked a little bit about new construction growth. The value that new construction growth plays into the PTEL legislation itself is that new construction occurs outside the cap, so I don't have the same limiting rate that is applied to the new growth. But what I do have is a limitation on the amount that I've asked for originally in the tentative levy, which is part of the reason when we get to the conversation on tentative levy, I will ask for more and do sort of a more balloon levy. It's a much smaller balloon levy than some of the other taxing bodies are doing, but I did want to make sure that we were capturing all of the new construction growth. And again, you can see sort of the trending of new construction growth over time. With respect to PTEL, it probably is worth reminding over and over and over again, PTEL does not limit the rate. It limits the amount of the extension on the value of the house. So how much can be raised off of a change in the value of a home or the value of commercial property is what is capped, not the tax rate. And a lot of times I think people get that confused. Also, we have no control over the value, the change in value of homes or the change in value of commercial property. That is strictly coming out of the assessor's office. This year, for the first time ever, since PTEL went into play in 1994, we actually hit a 5% CPI. What is going to be difficult and made this year's tax levy a little more of a conversation point than it sometimes is, we will probably hit 5% again next year. We are on track for that, and there's no reason to believe we're going to be under 5. Short history on CPI in case anybody needs to go back from a reference table standpoint. The summary of then what we're going to ask for a protective levy amount is contained here. So the bottom line increase with both the limited capped funds as well as the debt service account is an 8.6% increase. This is all we're going to be limited to under the tentative levy. So again, I tried to get it as tight as we could so we're not asking for any more than we really need to, but more just enough to be able to cover us. And again, if you look here on this page, the proposed tentative levy column is what we are advertising and asking for. The estimated best guess for levy year 22 is what I actually think is going to happen. So we have about a $775,000 cushion from an extension standpoint. So I've pulled this in about as tight as I think we can get it without damaging the district financially. Again, you can see from a levy standpoint, this is a little bit easier to see where the levy dollars are being allocated. We pulled back some funding from the education fund in order to make sure that we had the ability to increase the levy in the tort fund. If the board recalls, we actually added a secondary sub-tort account, Fund 81, which is helping us with all of the security measures in the schools. We wanted to make sure we had a place to be able to isolate those expenditures. So we also need a place where we can isolate those revenue streams as well. The other increases probably worth noting are the ones that are involving the municipal retirement, IMRF, and Social Security. As those costs continue to go up, there is a need to make sure that we've got adequate levies. I did put some additional levy dollars in the allocations for O&M and transportation in order to help support those funds as we go through the budget cycle. Again, from the increase in the tentative levy, the county clerk, again, we'll say this over and over again, the county clerk is only going to give us what is legally allowable. I could ask for a levy that is 100% of an increase, but still only get an increase of 5%. So the county clerk will pull us back to whatever is legal, but if we don't ask for it, we miss the capture that happens on new construction. This year's new construction is also a little bit tricky because we have 2 TIF properties that are coming off. One of them is in Savoy, one of them is in the East University TIF in Champaign. We knew that TIF was coming off. The Savoy TIF, we're going to need to work with them on the Board of Review meetings because we weren't invited. So that came a little bit, we were a little unaware of that one, so luckily we got the notification on that. But we did know about the East University TIF. As a reminder to the board, the City Council in Champaign is going to be bringing forward another TIF proposal for another portion of an extension around that area for a TIF. And they have been working with the district over the last year and a half now on how they want to develop that TIF. That TIF is going to be used to help promote economic development in the areas, both downtown all the way over through the Garden Hills neighborhood, the water sewer system improvements and repairs that they're doing. So that TIF property for this year will come on as new construction, and then we'll have subsequent TIFs in future years that will start to limit up some of the new construction in that new TIF space. There's a truth in taxation hearing requirement because we're asking for more than 5% this year. So last year we did not ask for 5%, and we came in very close to what we thought we were going to come in. This year, because we want to make sure we're capturing the new construction as well as the outcome of the reassessments that are in front of the Board of Review, We are asking for something over 5%. That will require a truth in taxation hearing, so we'll walk through that. Bottom line impact on the tax rate then is we're looking at a 512 total rate between the limiting rates on the capped funds and the debt service funds. Last year, we were at a 509, so this is a pretty close, again, the rates are going to be pretty close to where they were last year. So what does this mean for taxpayers? Generally speaking, most everybody does the top box because that's sort of the dollar-to-dollar comparison. I think it's probably more fair to show what the average reassessment across the townships looks like to a homeowner. So some homeowners will see more of an increase in their home value depending upon where you live and what section of which township you're in. Others of you may not see anything at all. But in general, the assessor's office had about a 6.56% reassessment rate on properties this year. So when you take a look at the assessed home values from last year, move them up in accordance with the reassessment and then apply the 512, you have a sense of what we believe is going to happen to just an average taxpayer. So if you have a home that's got an assessed value or a market value of $106,000, you're looking at $122. If you have a $319,000 home, you're probably looking at $367. And again, this is really not anything we're doing. This is just a function of the way the assessor's office assesses property and the combination of what happens with the property tax limitation law. So from the impact of the levy on the bond and interest account, one thing to note, last year we did abate $1 million. We had enough excess reserve funds. We were able to reduce the debt service account $1 million. That brought the tax levy from 72 cents down to a 66 cents. So for this year, we're looking at a 65-cent levy, and that will bring the debt service back to its normal level. We are not issuing new debt. We haven't issued new debt. This is the same debt service that we've had and we will continue to have. So, but it is going to be a little bit of an up and a down because last year we did do the abatement. So the calendar of events for what's coming. Tonight we had the preliminary conversation on the tentative levy. On the 30th, we will review again the levy and the debt service abatements with the board's finance committee. On the 12th, we'll have the public hearing, the adoption, and then on the 27th of December, we file with the county clerk. And then the process will continue through the rest of the spring and then culminate next fall. And so administration is recommending we adopt the tentative levy as presented, and we will begin the posting process.
Thank you, Ms. Matkowski. This is an action item. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Soteropoulos Baker. Questions? Linda, amazing. Once again, this is so much work. So, Dr. Baker.
Did I see that Parkland is also increasing?
Sorry, what?
Is Parkland increasing their levy as well? Did I see that?
Most everybody this year is because of the 5%. Because of the 5% CPI, almost everyone is forced to have to do the hearing. Some people are taking a more aggressive, they call it balloon levying. They're taking a much more aggressive balloon levying. Urbana generally, the school district, because of the situation with Carl, they also tend to do a balloon levy every year. So it's just a part of the normal tax process anymore to make sure that you're just capturing what you should capture. And again, the key, most important part of this is the county clerk will bring it back to wherever it is legally supposed to be.
One other question that I had, just when you were talking about transportation, I wondered, can we use Title I funds for transportation?
You couldn't use Title I because of the supplant conversation. But what you could use it for is anything that would be supplemental to a student's
transportation.
So if there was some extra additive thing, you could possibly use it there. if you recall, when we did the budget adoption, transportation is going to be very tight this year, which is part of the reason I wanted to put some more revenue in there for them in order to be able to accommodate just their general operating activity.
Thank you, Dr. Baker. Any other questions? Make sure Kathy's good. Yeah, she is. Linda, just a couple of notes that I had is, as I was preparing and reading and reviewing your finance reports, the state of Illinois is still $3.7 billion short of what students need to receive a quality education when it comes to evidence-based funding. The federal government continues to not fund IDA fully. They fund it at, I think, currently 13%. They're hoping to get 15% when they owe us 40%. And in reviewing this, I was pulling up the U.S. versus Rodriguez, a 1973 ruling with the Supreme Court that put the onus of funding public education on property taxes. That's a really fascinating case study if you guys haven't read it. 1973, U.S. versus Rodriguez. It's kind of how we got here. So it's interesting to know the history of this and how we got to here. So just things I'm kind of focused on.
Yeah, we are a property wealth district, which has put us right at the top of the tier 2, right, almost moving into tier 3. It goes backwards from what you intuitively think. So it is our most important revenue stream, and it does fund the majority of what we do throughout the district. So we do, one of the other areas that we did increase the tax levy towards was special education, right? So you'll notice that there's additional funds that were put in on the special education in order to help support the activities that we need to in special education, knowing that we've got oftentimes more that we need to do with less money coming in from both the state and the federal government to support that activity.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Thank you. Tammy, would you call roll?
Ms. Soteropoulos?
Yes.
Dr. Baker?
Yes.
Ms. Armstrong?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Kleppel?
Yes.
Ms. Shannon?
Yes.
Ms. Vasquez?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0. Again, our gratitude to you, Linda, and your office for the hard work you're doing. That will move us into item C, which is the purchase of multi-factor authentication solution. To you, Ms. Thornton.
Good evening again. So the Unit 4 Educational Technology Department is committed to equipping our buildings with effective instructional technology tools that support 21st century learning and teaching. To that end, we must also ensure the safety and security of our network. So Unit 4, like other districts throughout the state of Illinois, is required to have cybersecurity insurance, and insurers and cybersecurity experts recommend that districts enable multi-factor authentication for staff who access our network. So this year, the Unit 4 Educational Technology Department will be implementing multi-factor authentication for all staff. So to gather feedback from district staff, we did conduct a survey just to give us an idea of what option the staff members might be interested in that would help guide us with the purchase that we would need to make to implement multi-factor authentication. And so there really are two options available to staff, and I do have props. So one option is a mobile app that staff would download onto their phone. The other is a FortiToken, which is basically a small credit card device that would just slide into their behind their staff badge. They have to have their staff badge with them at all times to access the building, so it would be an easy place for them to store their little credit card FortiToken. So those are the two options, and what we found when we did the survey was it was about 60-40 So about 60% of the staff indicated that they would be interested in using a device. 40% said that they would be interested in having the actual token. So that helped guide our purchase and our recommendation for our purchase this evening. So based upon this evening, we will then put together a timeline and share it with the administrators and staff on how we will roll out the multi-factor authentication. So the board, we are recommending that the board approve this purchase for 1,000 of the physical tokens and then 2,000 of the mobile app licenses. The nice thing about this particular solution is that this is a one-time purchase. So a lot of the solutions that we looked at, they ask for an annual renewal of the actual token, the use of the token, or the use of the mobile app. So this solution is the one that we feel will best meet the needs of the district. And we are recommending that the board approve this purchase.
Thank you, Ms. Thornton. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Soteropoulos Baker. Any questions? Mr. Brown?
So did I see in the write-up that there is an annual renewal fee?
There is a small annual renewal fee. It's the $1,187.56, which is just the support renewal. Everything else is kind of a one-time purchase. So the 1,000 tokens, the 2,000 app licenses are ours indefinitely.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Vasquez?
For the 1,000 tokens, is there presumably potentially a cost passed to the teachers or the administrators where they'd be lost? And what will that be if it lands at the teachers' or administrators' feet?
Yes. So similar to the staff badges, we currently provide the first one to the staff members. If they lose it, then there is a $15 fee for the replacement of their staff badge, and so there would be a replacement cost. We are still looking at what that would be. I would assume it would be similar to the $15, $20, something of that nature, but yes, there would be a replacement cost.
Working at the university, we all have to do this anyway. I find the app probably the better use of money, so I don't know, to Heather's point, if it would be worth, say they lose it, because it's very possible. We tried the tokens. I think everyone is pretty much on the app now. If they just, if you.
She's like, I'm guilty.
See, this is why. But if we could just get more of the apps, I think makes sense once.
Yeah, and that's why we did we bumped it up. So we did the 2,000 app licenses and then the 1,000 tokens. We could always purchase additional licenses if we needed them. The other nice thing is that the tokens are transferable, so similar to as part of our offboarding process, we collect their staff badge. We will also collect their Forta token, and then those could actually be repurposed to another employee. So there is a way to repurpose them as well.
Thank you, Dr. Baker. Ms. Vasquez? Any other questions, comments? The recommendation is for the approval for the educational technology to purchase MFA solution from the educational technology budget not to exceed $91,840.29. Yes. Correct?
Yes, thank you.
Tammy, would you call roll?
Ms. Soteropoulos?
Yes.
Dr. Baker?
Yes.
Ms. Armstrong?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Kleppel?
Yes.
Ms. Shannon?
Yes.
Ms. Vasquez?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0. That will move us to item D, mechanical and electrical and a plumbing study agreement for existing International Prep Academy serving 6th through 8th grades. Ms. Stegmeyer.
Thank you. Good evening. Elizabeth Stegmeyer, Director of Capital Projects and Planning. So this item is for the International Prep Academy recommendation for a study by GHR Engineering for mechanical, electrical, and plumbing work specifically. So later on this evening, we'll talk about the Columbia project. GHR, if you've looked at that report, this report would be very similar to that one. So what we're asking is to hire GHR to look at, this is an older building, was built in the 60s, It needs a number of things, and so the study would look at all the mechanical, electrical, plumbing items and accessibility, and identify what the recommendations are to upgrade those items to be consistent with other district school facilities, and then also accessibility as part of that, and then identify interrelationships between the two. So for example, if we upgrade the HVAC, which is the number one thing that's really driving this, we have a boiler, a steam boiler system that uses steam pipes. The pipes are failing, so the pipes they have holes, some of their holes in a number of areas. O&M is replacing where they can. But if we want to upgrade the HVAC system to get away from the steam boiler, then we need to replace the windows, we need to replace the ceilings and the lights to distribute some of that piping. And so this study would identify those interrelationships. So windows don't seem like a mechanical, electrical, plumbing item, but it goes along with the steam boiler replacement. They'll also look at accessibility, so we'll focus on ramps in and out of the building and upgrading one girls' and one boys' restroom for accessibility. They'll address, we have a roof. The roof is already identified as something we need to do, so they'll include that just as a comprehensive report. We also would need to upgrade the power service if we're going to upgrade the HVAC, and probably the water service into the building. So their proposal identifies everything they would be looking at. If approved, they would have the study completed within 60 days of us signing the contract. It would also come with estimates, so that would allow us and O&M to look at this and kind of identify with Linda or Ms. Matkowski what funding is available if we do want to upgrade these systems, and pick and choose among what they're recommending. So the cost is $10,640 for the study, which would include the estimates and be available within 60 days of authorization.
Thank you, Ms. Stegmeyer. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Soteropoulos Vasquez. Questions, comments?
I forgot to say just one part, if I could. There is some work that we need, if we do this work, depending on what we pick and choose from this or all of it, to keep the existing building healthy and, upgrade it, the work would not be done until summer 2024 or later. There's some things that just cannot wait, and so right now we are already moving forward for next summer on the roof replacement, improvements to the east side drive. Just need to do some upgrades to keep that drive healthy for the next 5 years or so, and then replacing the exterior stair on the east side of the building as well.
Thank you. The recommendation is to approve the agreement with GHR Engineers and Associates in the amount of $10,640. Tammy, would you call roll?
Ms. Soteropoulos?
Yes.
Ms. Vasquez?
Yes.
Ms. Armstrong?
Yes.
Dr. Baker?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Kleppel?
Yes.
Ms. Shannon?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0. That moves us to item E, which is the authorization of school maintenance project grant. Application FY23 grant and allocation of local funds to cover matching portion of the grant. Turn this over to you, Ms. Matkowski.
So the board has seen several of these over time. The state generally annually will appropriate funds from the legislature to the State Board of Education to provide for a matching grant program. The matching grant program provides a match of up to $50,000. The district has to provide the rest of the costs. For this year's grant application round, we are continuing on the themes of fixing roofs. So this is to take care of the roof project, which was already a project we had discussed back in April of '22 as something that we were going to undertake. So this is just simply a method for us to be able to get some state assistance to help us pay for that.
Thank you, Ms. Matkowski. May I have a motion?
So moved.
I didn't. Okay. Soteropoulos Baker. Any questions? The recommendation is to authorize the submission of the school maintenance project application. Tammy, would you call roll?
Ms. Soteropoulos?
Yes.
Dr. Baker?
Yes.
Ms. Armstrong?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Kleppel?
Yes.
Ms. Shannon?
Yes.
Ms. Vasquez?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0. That'll move us to item F, which is the Design, Bidding, and Construction Administration Services Agreement for the renovation of the Columbia facility. Turn this back over to you, Ms. Stegmeyer.
Thank you. If the presentation for Columbia could be pulled up, that would be helpful. Oh, I need the clicker. Thank you. While they're working on that, so this, as Ms. Thornton mentioned earlier, this is how we want to use some of the ARP funds that were available as a result from the federal government. So back in February, just like the IPA building, the Columbia building needs some attention in terms of the various system if we're going to keep using it as a school facility. Particularly, focus areas need to be mechanical, electrical, plumbing systems again. And then a real limiter in the Columbia building is the accessibility. It does not have an elevator, and it's a multi-story building. So in February, let me just, before I go into what history of where we've been so far, the programs in the Columbia building, for those who may not know, is the Restore program, the NOVAC program, and then Special Education Young Adult program. So we hired GHR in February of this year to look at the systems I just mentioned, MEP, and then also accessibility, and give us a report that sort of identified, you know, what do they recommend, what needs to be upgraded to be consistent with other district buildings. That's always what we're trying to focus on, is just, you know, as we address these buildings, let's just bring them up to where the other buildings already are, and then for those that are there, we need to maintain them. So the focus on the life safety improvements, the system upgrades, and accessibility. So the columns on the left and the top column, that's what we focused on. So for life safety, adding a sprinkler system in the multi-story building, replacing the existing fire alarm so it's and accessible. So we call it accessible because it has horns and strobes, and it is in multiple different languages. System upgrades, so primarily the HVAC system replacement, so again, getting rid of the steam boiler. When we replace that system, we'll also introduce air conditioning that comes along with electrical upgrades, window replacements, lighting, because you need to replace the ceilings and the lights to distribute the heating and the cooling. Replacement of the existing plumbing that's over 100 years old, addressing sanitary and storm sewer repairs inside and on the outside of the building, and then the roof replacement. For accessibility, we would be looking at a new elevator, ramping inside of the building at the lower level. Just there's too many levels to bridge down there, so we're going to introduce a ramp, and then renovation of one girls' and one boys' bathroom to be fully accessible. There is low voltage items. We have an allowance on low voltage. We haven't exactly identified what we want to do, but that includes, you know, the phone, the intercom, the cameras, data, all the things that, you know, run between the walls to make all our devices work and allow everyone to communicate within the building and outside the building. So upgrading those, we've met with IT to try to identify, you know, what are their priorities, and that's included in the project. So once we got the study, which identified the recommendations, then we started meeting with the various administrators who run those programs and administrators at Windsor to figure out, well, if we're going to do this, is there anything else that while we're there we could do? And so the program administrators gave us kind of their wish list, and we've added on to the project for consideration is replacing the gym floor, removing the main floor lockers, adding an electronic marquee on the exterior of the building, kitchen upgrades because of the NOVAC program that is there, making it more like Central and Centennial High School, so they'd have, you know, signage that identifies like the grab-and-go area, and then they would have a salad bar, just making it more, not like right now what they do is they have two sort of folding tables that they just put out in the gym and stick a couple tubs of fruit and milk on it, and it would make it much more of a upgraded experience like Central and Centennial have. So that's the kitchen upgrades. There's some classrooms and a hallway on the second floor that were just added on there. We would just get rid of those to open up the hallway. And then the big improvement, in addition to the lights in the ceiling that just go along with the HVAC, would be painting the full interior of the building. So really brightening things up along with the lighting. The project budget that we've identified is direct construction costs, $7.6 million. We have 3 different types of contingencies: a design contingency, because we're really heading into this not knowing everything that needs to be done. We do not want to have scope creep. We've talked about that a lot amongst ourselves, that we're really going to have to hold the line. These are the scope items that are in. We can't say, oh, while you're there, can you replace all the doors, or can you landscape the whole site, or these other things. We have to stick to what the scope is. But we do have a design contingency, just if unforeseen conditions are found as we move along. We have money to address that. Bid contingencies, so when we get our estimates, we'll know if we're on track for our project cost, but sometimes market volatility, so we have a 5% bid contingency, and then construction contingencies as typical. AE fees and reimbursables, the majority of that is the fee for the design team. It also includes, well, actually, it's just AE fees, and so it's design team, there's a number of consultants, and then reimbursables are just things like testing. And then owner's costs, the biggest item in there is the hazardous material abatement and the cost for the designer for the to determine what we need to abate. And then we have some moving costs, that's probably the second largest cost in there, and then some other additional material testing. We do have a note, it's on the schedule slide, but while I'm clicking to that one, just mention that temporary home, if this project does proceed, the temporary home for those 3 programs has not yet been identified. So if this project moves forward, that is a high priority item, is figuring where are those 3 programs going to go for the 1 year that this project will be under construction. So the schedule would be starting design immediately, finishing in the spring, heading out to bid April through June of next year, taking bids, bringing bids back to you in June for approval. In the meantime, we'll be working on the abatement design and also bidding out that project. Abatement goes, well, move out goes first, then abatement goes, which will be summer of 2023, and then construction will immediately begin upon completion of abatement. Anticipating, 1-year project from abatement start to completion of construction, so we expect to be done in summer 2024, and then move everyone back in to be ready to start in the renovated building in August of 2024. Any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Stegmeyer. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Soteropoulos Vasquez, questions? The TBD on the homes for those programs? Okay.
We've looked at a couple places. We've talked, to a number of groups. It just really needs to be, the focus has been scoping and figuring out what is in this project, talking with Ms. Matkowski and Ms. Thornton, where's the funding coming from?
Okay.
Now that we have that much nailed down, we're ready to move into design, then we can focus on figuring out where they're going.
Thank you. Any other questions? Ms. Shannon, good. Tammy, would you call roll? Oh, I'm sorry, Dr. Baker.
I thought we were done with buildings. It just reminds me of all of those conversations we've had previously. I would like to, this is going to be more, I think we know going into it that it's going to be more than, I think, what we estimate, just because we've seen our older buildings. And so I would like to, at some point, bring back the conversation of what we're doing with some of the land up north, right? And thinking about we got to find some funding from you're already laughing because you've already thought about, okay, that's where I am, because the money is.
I'm smiling because Linda and I had a conversation today about getting together once we get through this and just really pinpointing where we're going next. And it all is contingent upon academic instructional things, that has to guide what we're doing as well. So we had that conversation today. So that is one of our next projects with IT, O&M, and our TNL department and finance getting together.
Thank you, Dr. Baker. Tammy, would you call a roll?
Ms. Soteropoulos?
Yes.
Ms. Vasquez?
Yes.
Ms. Armstrong?
Yes.
Dr. Baker?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Kleppel?
Yes.
Ms. Shannon?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0. That will move us to item G, which is design, bidding, and construction administrative services agreement for Garden Hills Academy exterior lighting upgrades. Back to you, Ms. Stegmeyer.
Thank you. They're quick back there, thank you. So the Garden Hills Academy exterior lighting upgrades. This is a request to get started on, to hire a consultant to start design to improve the exterior lighting around the Garden Hills School. So it was identified from some staff members that it's kind of dark around there. And so we had Henneman Engineering, local mechanical, electrical, plumbing contractor, go out and take photometric readings around the school. Early in the morning is when they took them. And the light levels almost everywhere are anywhere between 50 to 90% less than where they should be. And so based on that, and just based on the fixtures that we have there, we think recommendation would be a good idea to upgrade not only the lighting, but then you can also add dimming features to exterior lighting, and you can have better energy conservation with the light fixtures that you put in, and the motion sensors. So it increases. This is what we have in all the renovated schools. When someone is there, it brightens up, but then it comes down to a level that's not so bright when there's no one around. So if we move ahead, the light fixtures that are added and replaced would have features that the current ones don't have. The city is also doing some work in the area to improve the lighting. So on the left, this is a copy from the city of Champaign, the work that they intend to do. So Garden Hills is identified in the orange box. All the purple dots are additional lights that are planned, street lights. And then you probably can't see it here, but there are some little blue ones. And in the case of Garden Hills, there are some fixtures that are going to be replaced. The blue is there, already fixtures there, but they're going to replace them. And they're also adding additional fixtures. So the bottom note there on the slide on the right, we add 3 and replace 2 light poles. The city is doing that. So we are going to coordinate, our Henneman, if hired, will coordinate their work with the city, because we can borrow some light from the city for what they're doing around the site, so we don't pay for fixtures we don't need, and then we can make sure that our timing is coordinated with them. So they expect their work will start in the spring and finish about 1.5 years, focusing on the work around Garden Hills in summer. Same for us. Ours is going to be very dependent on the light poles because we're just getting started right now. We expect maybe a 4-month lead time. But I'm sure everyone knows in their own personal lives, it's very volatile, the market right now. So we expect 4 months. Once we get a bid approved, then we'll have a better sense. But we hope to do the work next summer, and we'll coordinate with the city. So this is a plan of Garden Hills. These are the photometric readings around the school. And of course, you're not even able to see them, but I can just tell you. So each little dot in black is a reading that was taken around the school. North is to the right on the map. The lowest lighting levels are on the parking lots, so the south parking lot and the west parking lot. The standard that they're following is from the Illumination Society of Engineers, and we should have, it's on the drawing there, it says we should have 1-foot candle at parked cars in parking areas and 1/2-foot candle in driving lanes, and we hardly meet it anywhere on the site. And then around the school, they also took some measurements just on sidewalks and around the face of the building, and essentially the recommendation is just everywhere needs just to generally brighten up the area, and so that's what we'd be doing through the project. So the schedule is design would commence immediately upon approval. Sort of a quick design would be done in January, head out to bid, come back with the recommendation to if we had an appropriate bid from a contractor in March, and then start construction, as soon as we can get the poles on site.
Thank you, Mrs. Stegmeyer. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Which one? Soteropoulos Baker. Any questions? Comments? Dr. Baker?
So outside in the parking lot, is that appropriately lighted?
Yes, so as part of the Southside project, Southside and McKinley project shared the cost. I mean, that's not relevant to us now, but at the time that we had different project budgets, so we shared the cost of the paving work and the lighting work, and we upgraded all the lighting in the parking lot. They have the LEDs, they're solar powered, and then they also have the, they come up when someone's under it, and then they drop back down to a level to not bother the neighbors when nobody's actively moving around. But even at that lower level, they meet the requirements, which Garden Hills is not doing right now.
Thank you, Dr. Baker. Any other questions? Tammy, would you call roll? This is to an agreement for an amount not to exceed $13,800 paid from Fund 61.
Ms. Soteropoulos?
Yes.
Dr. Baker?
Yes.
Ms. Armstrong?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Kleppel?
Yes.
Ms. Shannon?
Yes.
Ms. Vasquez?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0. That will move us to item 8, which is our consent agenda. May I have a motion?
So moved.
That one I heard. Soteropoulos, Vasquez. I'll read through these. Item B is the approval of professional services agreement with Metis, part of grant work. Item C is asbestos and lead-based paint abatement design monitoring and clearance air sampling for Columbia. Item D is the school calendar waiver. E is the completed FOIA request. F is human resource changes. G, bills and treasurer's report. H is the approval of the minutes from October 10 and October 24th. Any questions? Tammy, would you call roll?
Ms. Soteropoulos?
Yes.
Ms. Vasquez?
Yes.
Ms. Armstrong?
Yes.
Dr. Baker?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Kleppel?
Yes.
Ms. Shannon?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0. That will move us to item 9, which is public comment. I have cards in front of me. There are also cards back on the table if anybody wishes to fill those out. The clock will be up on the screen for 3 minutes. And this is not an opportunity where the Board of Education engages. This is an opportunity for the community to speak. And there will be a beep. You'll hear it when your time is up, along with the clock on the screen. There he goes. Thank you. First card I have is Joan Dykstra.
My name is Joan Dykstra. I'm a retired elementary school teacher, and I have 2 grandkids in Unit 4. I served on the Unit 4 Promises Made, Promises Kept Committee. I served in local government continuously for 30 years, Champaign County Board, Savoy Trustee, and Savoy Mayor before retiring last year. A school district's responsibility is to educate where students are, geographically, educationally, socially, and emotionally. All kids deserve to be in a good school, close to home. That's what a true nurturing community looks like. If kids must travel long distances in buses, often chaotic, they are not studying, they're not creatively playing. Any amount of time a student travels is that much time the student could be staying in his closer to home school and participating in before or after school remediation if need be. Otherwise, what a waste of a child's time. My question is, tell us in what school districts any of these proposed changes have truly worked and benefited children's academic success and the data to back it up. A school board member said, in part, come with solutions. I get 20-page dissertation emails. First, I must call that type of response out because after 30 years of me listening to public participation on sometimes very controversial issues, a school board's role is, I know, indeed, to listen to problems and objections. That's how solutions actually get worked out. The school board asked for comments. I assume the board actually wanted a variety of input, but some comments you seem to value and seek out, but others you dismiss and disparage. Come with solutions. Okay, great. Here it is. Do what you have to do to make every school exemplary and meet every kid's needs where they are. Stop trying to socially engineer this community, using our young children as tools. Our kids have been through enough. I'm a teacher. I know what works in a successful classroom. If books and supplies and technology are the issue, spend money on that. If supporting families with appropriate help, invest in that. If supporting teachers with best practices and more effective discipline strategies, and then supporting those teachers so that the classroom is calm, respectful, and conducive to learning, then focus on that. This is the key. But no amount of moving kids around will achieve learning. Our kids have already undergone huge learning losses due to the pandemic. Help good teachers teach and students learn where they are. This is hard work, but it is not hard.
Thank you, Ms. Dykstra. My next card is Lee McDonald.
Good evening. Let me state something that is very important. All the people in this room believe that eliminating the opportunity gap for Black students is long overdue and a noble goal that must be achieved. In both the 2020 strategic plan and the superintendent's letter to end the schools of choice plan, the percentages of academic achievement for Black students is highlighted as the major priority for improvement. The plan states that an attempt was made to drill down to the root cause or causes of these disparities, but little data is offered other than the current academic levels. Instead, the plan lays the major cause at the feet of, systemic racism and white privilege. In the strategic plan, there is little to no mention of reviewing historical data from internal and external sources. Let me provide a couple examples to show why history is important. First, what about the home and neighborhood environment for all races, as well as the social economic status of each, both now and in past years? What is different about the Unit 4 Black students who are competing at a high academic level, both now and in past years? What about schools around the country in low-income areas with high percentages of either Black or brown students that have academic ratings both now, have high academic ratings both now and in years past? How did they do it then, and how are they doing it now? Second, in the past century, there was overt racism exhibited toward Asian immigrants and citizens. Racist words for Japanese, Vietnamese, Chinese, and other immigrants and citizens were commonplace. Many would say that racism is still evident today towards Asians. The first generation of Asian immigrants could only find low-paying manual labor jobs such as agricultural field hands, servants, laundry workers, restaurant workers, etc. Yet subsequent generations of Asians are doctors, lawyers, professors, etc. Current academic numbers for Unit 4 Asian students are higher than those of our African American, Latinx, and Caucasian students for every grade. Why is that? Our Asian students are studying the same curriculum as all other races. What is different about the Asian culture? What has led to their progress, and is there something that could be used to help improve the academic efforts of our lower scoring students? I'll leave you with a quick quote because I only have 15 seconds, unfortunately, from a scholar. I can give you more detail later. Quote, "Where beliefs are not checked against facts, but instead facts must meet the test of consonance with the prevailing vision, we are in the process of sealing ourselves off from feedback from reality. Heedless of the past, we are flying blind into the future."
Thank you, Mr. McDonald. You could send your comments via email if you'd like to finish up. Thank you. Mr. Molina?
Yes, good evening. My name is Alvaro Molina. I've been here a bunch of times. And on my previous visits here, I asked the district and the board to make sure that we give languages the importance that they deserve. On October 2nd, which is a Sunday, I received an email from Dr. K from the International Prep Academy, and I usually don't like to read, but I'm going to read to you his statement. It says, "Our district is working to translate all these items into Spanish and will share those resources once they are available." That means the cooperative strategies document. Okay, then I gave it a week, and I follow up on it with cooperative strategies. And on October the 10th, which is a Monday, I received a reply from Karen Daniel Hanberg, and she states the following: "The documents are currently being translated by the district personnel. Once we receive the translations, I will make sure that the documents are posted on the project website." My question to everybody here is, where are the translated documents? Because we haven't received them in Spanish or in French. Okay, so let's move on with the future of busing children around or juggling all these kids around. Unless we address the learning, the summer learning lost, and the preschool education for kids that is free, we're going to keep dragging our feet over this problem. If you look around in Savoy, near Savoy and Champaign, we have private preschools where 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds go there every day. My wife teaches 380 children every day. She teaches Spanish at a private school. It's called the Next Generation. Now, the advantage of those kids is incredible compared to the kids coming from the north. And then we're going to bus them around to the north, and they're already at a huge disadvantage. And then the summers kick in, and kindergarten, first grade, second grade, and by the time they reach elementary school, middle school, they're already a couple of years behind. So if we don't address that, we're going to be dragging our feet for perpetuity. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Molina. Up next, Arletta Logan. Conte Cousette. Mr. Cousette.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you. To Dr. Boozer, the staff, hello. I want to start off with Dr. Angela Ward, right? Thank you for the extracurricular activities that's been tied into the program where we just got the information on. Thank you for that. That was something that I sent to Dr. Boozer as well in the email on November 3rd that I didn't receive anything back, but thank you for that. But I also want to state that that is not just the only problem that we are having. I think this gentleman stated before that that we're still, in a sense, getting some residue of racism that's occurring in Champaign Unit 4 by teachers and other students calling black students niggers, and it being swept under the rug. I called you King Kleebler. I called you, and you took that statement and said, well, was it valid because I was a family member of this individual who was called a nigger? This, number one, I just feel like you I'm pretty sure you came from a small town as well. And what you have to understand is, yes, I'm a black man, but I know how to keep it professional. Right? That's number one. Not only do I know how to keep it professional, but I also know how to check you and allow you to sit back and think upon if it changed something inside of your heart. I can check you and leave it alone. But I definitely wanted to get back on this comment that our children need better education, not equally, because that's what we've been doing, giving them the same education from some of our white students. And where we come from different backgrounds. And so, no, we are not going to reach the same academic level as some of you white children. But I believe that Unit 4 can give our children what we need so we can reach that standard. We don't need to be bussed around. No, keep us where we are, because I'm pretty sure you don't want your kids where we are. And we want our kids to stay where we are, where they feel comfortable. And so that's just the last couple words that I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I have Jeff Hoover.
Hi, I want to, first of all, thank you for the opportunity to provide a public comment here. My name is Jeff Hoover. I have a third grader and a rising kindergartner in Unit 4. I fully support doing something or many things to make the very real and very troubling achievement gaps and inequities in the Unit 4 school district better. I do not support the two scenarios that were put forward as the top two for the single reason that they uproot children from the schools they currently belong to. Education science and research suggest that many other solutions that don't involve moving kids among schools could and should be used to make improvements in both student outcomes and performance. I'm not against the board, not against any individual on the board or the superintendent. I want things to be better in the Unit 4 school district in the same way that you, the board, the citizens attending this meeting, and the people watching at home all want. I've been frustrated by the process used to select these initial two scenarios. The lack of community and teacher involvement to come up with the best ideas that don't uproot kids, and how this has been rolled out by cooperative strategies has not been good. The aim is good. Yes, let's absolutely do things to reduce achievement gaps. The current scenarios and the process have not been good. Not good for students, not good for the community, and not good for the board. I think that there are a lot of people wanting to make things better, and this is now an opportunity for the board to bring people together to try to implement things that will have a direct and lasting positive effect on the students in the district. Not through online surveys or a consulting firm, but with something like a steering committee and subcommittees that tackle this challenging and difficult issue of achievement gaps. What is needed is a steering committee and subcommittees that include representation for teachers, principals, community organizations, parents, caregivers from all parts of the school district, multilingual families, those that work with special needs children, transportation experts, experts on how to narrow race or socioeconomic-based student achievement gaps, facility managers, city and village planners, leaders, and so on. Build a consensus, build community support, and listen to educators to come up with tractable solutions. To put together plans of action that have both successful and lasting effects addressing difficult issues, you need the broad support and involvement of the communities that you serve. Difficult issues usually require complex solutions and an all-hands-on-deck approach. Tap into the energy, the passion, and the talent within this district. Let's work together to come up with new approaches to the issues at hand while building broad community support by involving the community directly and meaningfully in the process for the good of the children, families, and broader community in the Unit 4 school district.
Thank you, Mr. Hoover.
Thank you.
You can send your email comments if you didn't finish. Matt Fraser.
Good evening. My name is Matt Fraser. I went to
Dr. Howard Jefferson and graduated from Centennial High School. Had the pleasure of having Mr. Kleber in a class at Centennial. I now have a kindergartner at Carrie Busey and a preschool at Next Generation, where Al's wife teaches. I'm going to start with solutions and then maybe get to some criticisms of the plans. One, please don't get rid of the balanced school year. It seems like if the problem we're trying to address is that some people aren't getting their SOC or the school of choice on time, just have Barksdale and I think it's Kenwood or Southside, have them start their new semester in August, like at the same time. That would be a way to comedy that and not take away something that people value and seems to work. Number two, teach phonics. I'm not an expert here or anything. I'm trying to come up with solutions, and I've done a lot of research since the first board meeting that has kind of brought up the community to consciousness, I guess. And it seems like that's the way to do it, from what I'm reading. Teaching our kids to read, I think, is really what's going to unlock their learning. I think three, let's spend some of this set-aside money to get some of these low-achieving schools what they need. I saw something online. I think Garden Hills had something like close to a dozen school vacancies, maybe. I could be wrong on that as well, but get them the teachers, the tutors, see if you can pay the teachers more, if you can. I know you guys tried to extend the school day, which I thought was a great thing to do, and it's tough to get things done, I think, and I feel for you, but I think we need to try. All right. Lastly, leverage the university. It's, instead of spending $150,000 on some out-of-state consultant company, what a great project for a master's, business class, CS, data science, PhD project. You know, I think there's a lot. There's an untapped thing there. In one of the focus groups I attended, the one. There's a lady who, she filled out her school of choice based on proximity. You know, first school closest to her, last school farthest away. She got one of her last choices, Carrie Busey, and her kid has to get on the bus before my kid even wakes up to go to school, right? And I worry that if we go this SES mixing route, we're just gonna have a lot more cases like that. And you miss out on all the after-school stuff. Like Carrie Busey, Booker T, they have a bunch of cool chess, gardening, dance, Legos, you know, they have a lot of cool after-school things, and I'd hate to see the people miss out on that. Tutoring opportunities as well, especially those ones that, again, come from the low SES, which I think it will unfairly burden. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Frazier. Rita Connerly?
Good evening, Board. Thank you. First of all, I want to thank everyone who actually waited for public comment. We've seen several parents walk out. I think the parents we definitely need to hear from. So it's very disappointing when we have to wait 8:30 at night for public comment. So as a parent of current students and an alum myself, I must express that this is the poorest leadership and decision-making that I've experienced in my time in this district. Just when will we consider the teachers, parents, community members, stakeholders, and other experts here locally as the experts, until we are willing to have honest conversations, difficult conversations about the issues that have gotten to this point, institutional racism, standardized testing, and the fact that we have marginalized families, many of them without the resources they need to be successful. Our children have been through enough. Hell, we all have. The past 3 years have been challenging for everyone. However, the thought process for this large adjustment, for considering it even, will not produce the results that I think you are anticipating. Uprooting children will not address the achievement gap, but will further create an insurmountable problem for this community as a whole. Our Black and brown families have suffered the greatest. Social and economic disadvantages depresses students' performance. However, here in Champaign, it is nearly impossible to desegregate schools without desegregating both low-income and affluent neighborhoods. Until funding is allocated in a way where dollars from rich resource-rich schools are committed to high-poverty schools, classroom sizes are decreased. Recruitment of more teachers of color and investment in more educational options, technology, before and after school programs, tutoring and counseling services. Additionally, representation matters. Research has shown that just having one Black teacher in the life of a student before grade 3 substantially increases the likelihood of graduation. I believe that this proposal is rushed, and it does not bring our community together, but further divides. We should ensure that we are considering all possibilities and all intended consequences. I had the opportunity to attend a couple of the focus groups, and after speaking with Karen, one of my suggestions is intentionality. What I've seen today in some of the data presented is a very reactionary behavior of the district. To have and institute parent engagement activities with city dollars, this is something that we should have been had. Black parents don't feel comfortable. Create a space for Black parents.
Thank you, Ms. Connerly. The last card I have is Tony Winkler.
Good evening. Thank you, board, and everyone here for the immense time that you sacrifice. I'm very aware of that. My name is Tony Winkler. I'm a parent of 2 Unit 4 students here in Champaign. I've also been a high school teacher myself for the past 16 years. This past week, I looked for the first time at the data from the introductory survey given when we registered students this past spring. Now, I was assuming the majority of respondents to that survey had indicated that school of choice was not working, since we're now in the process of trying to drastically overhaul the school assignment process as early as next fall. However, that's not what I found in the data collected by the survey. Overall, when asked, do you feel that the current schools of choice process is meeting the goals of creating racially and socioeconomically integrated schools? We as a community at large responded with 49% thought that yes, school of choice was doing this, and only 14% said no. Now there was another 37% that said they were unsure or they preferred not to answer. But 3.5 as many parents selected that they thought school of choice was working as opposed to not working. As a math teacher, another way to look at this is if we're just looking at the respondents with a yes or a no, 78% of those approved and 22% did not. Now, in the schools that have been mentioned in the current proposals that have a lower level of SES, such as Booker T. Washington, Garden Hills, and Stratton, the results were as follows. Booker T. Washington, 59% approved of schools of choice, while 10% did not. Stratton, 61% approved, while 9% did not. Garden Hills, 61% approved, while 7% did not. Now, I personally don't have strong convictions that school of choice is the only method or that a better method could not be found. But what I hear, even from Dr. Boother's email last week, is that the board is urgent to still change things around for the 23-24 school year. Given that it does not seem that the community's feedback is driving this urgency to change things, I request that the board slows down and slows their timeline even more. Being an educator for 16 years, I know out of a good heart that it's easy to make change quickly in hopes of better outcomes for students. But I've also witnessed many times that if it's not well thought out, it becomes change for the sake of change, and our students are normally worse for the wear. So my solution-based idea is that we continue to tweak the school of choice system, that we continue to look at how we can better assign students to be in the schools that they want to be in, where they can have the best success possible, that we continue to allocate funds in that way. And I just ask that as we receive the next round of feedback from Cooperative Strategies, that the board will take a hard look at the time and really be patient to make the best solution possible.
Thank you so much. That's the last card I have. Sorry. Catherine Elliott.
Hi, forgive me for, and this is going to sound great, I didn't think I could make it tonight, so my prep is lacking. But yeah, I just wanted to speak to the solutions being presented for next year. These solutions are being presented to diversify schools in the hopes that the achievement gaps will close, especially in respects to our Black kids. What these solutions, I think, communicate to these kids in the communities that many of them are from is that they are no good where they are, and in order for them to excel, they need to be in proximity to whiteness. And I have a problem with that. I think what we should be doing to our kids of greatest needs, instead of shuffling them around, is to funnel our greatest resources to them. And then in a very practical sense, with the actual models being presented, with School of Choice as it currently is, people can prioritize their school however they desire. Proximity programs, it's what you want for your family, for your kids. Many people still pursue schools based on their geographical location. The solutions that are being presented hinder that quite a bit for a lot of our neighborhoods that we're in. For example, both solutions, I live half a mile away from a school that I love and my kids attend. In both solutions, the closest school I can go to is a mile away. I don't qualify for busing for 3 of the 4 schools, but yet I would have to, if I did not have reliable transportation, walk 4 miles a day to get my kids to and from school. That's problematic, and it's an accessibility issue that I think for other families could lead to very serious attendance issues. So not only do I not think these are solutions for the sake of closing the achievement gap, but I do think they present practical problems for just getting to school. And that's all.
Thank you, Ms. Elliott. Anyone else want to fill out a card? Please do it now. We'll wait. Just say it. Mr. Bruno.
Thank you, Ms.
No
Armstrong.
problem.
Appreciate you all being here. I was hesitant to speak because I've already spoken recently. I'll be brief. I was inspired to speak tonight only after watching some of our community members of color come to this meeting and occupy these chairs here and sit for more than 2 hours and then ultimately leave this room having not been heard. And I think that the district wants to hear from our families of color. But when we have a meeting where the professional staff spends 2 hours briefing the school board, and the parents of young children who have bedtimes have to attend to their home needs and their responsibilities as parents, they are sitting in these chairs wondering, should I stay a little longer? Should my child go to bed past their normal bedtime at the risk that they won't perform well in school tomorrow? How important is it that the school board hear from me tonight? And for some of our friends, they had to decide that this twice per month opportunity wasn't going to be available to them this time. Maybe next time. But we also don't know what the school board's timeline is, because we're not getting direct answers. Oh, a new timeline will be forthcoming. Well, I think that I'm not in one of those seats. But if I were, and I saw what I saw here tonight from the audience, I would consider using some of my comment time as a board member to enlighten the public. What can the public expect as to the timeline? How many more of these meetings should parents of young children try to attend to make their voice heard? It's difficult, it's burdensome. You say you want to hear from people, And I know you have to get through business. I'm not saying that the business you did tonight is not important. It's very important. I only suggest, perhaps in the interest of hearing from people who have competing interests like raising children, maybe the public comment period could be advanced up the agenda for next time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Bruno. Kyle Kirchhofer?
It's going to be really short because Tony just said about everything I was going to say. My only comment was I'm not even sure how the process works, but if it is possible for public comment to be moved up earlier in the meeting, I think that's a great suggestion, and I would love to make sure that people who are able to get here and make the effort to get to the meeting could share what they have to say, because I'd like to hear from them too. Thanks.
Thank you. The last card I have is Ty Goddard.
Good evening. I was not exactly one of the people that a prior commenter referred to. I sit in my car and I watch the board meeting. Sometimes I sit with my kids at home and I watch the board meeting. Sometimes I've come to Triple E meetings in the past. I have prepared comments. I'm here to express my concern about the school assignment redesign process, not the task, not the change, but the process. I volunteered on a district task force and at the classroom level in Champaign Unit 4 schools. I've been a school PTA volunteer and president. I've attended and watched many board and committee meetings over the years. I myself have received an excellent public K-12 education. And I really believe in the power of public education as an exercise in community care for the community's children. I have 2 children in this district, and I try to pay attention. I've worked in community problem solving and organizational culture for a number of years. In that work, many times I've been involved in getting the word out. At the last board meeting, the superintendent referred to letters and emails sent home about this initiative. So for the first time in my life, I sent in a FOIA request about those letters that were sent home. And I received confirmation that no letters from the district about the school assignment redesign project were sent home with students. I've come to know how little a lot of folks know about what's going on with this and that their children in the district may be affected. For a change this big with a stakeholder group this wide, there's a lot that concerns me about the process and what's missing from it. If the pandemic brought forth an electronic-centric communication strategy, which was the answer to my question that I sent in to the district from your communications director, where were the robocalls? Where was the outreach? Where were the signs in the buildings? Why was the PTA blocked from sharing information with the school community? Where was the community steering committee, and where is the community steering committee? Ultimately, who is being left out of this process and this discussion, and why don't we care? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Goddard. I have no other cards in front of me. Okay. Thank you all for coming this evening and sharing your opinions. That'll move us to item 10, which is board member communications. Anyone? Kathy. I think she's good. Hope she feels better. That'll move us to item 11, which is a report. Whom do we affect? Whom do we tell? There was a great deal of business accomplished this evening for our students and staff and community. The school calendar waiver will go through. We have a federal grant update. Care Solace is working. We do have the agreement with the city regarding the blueprint. Elizabeth will cast our votes in the resolution committee on Saturday, so thank you. We will have a public hearing on the budget in December, correct? December? That means the levy. but it'll be a part of a public hearing. And purchase multi-factor authentication, and more work on our buildings, which will be a never-ending thing. When you own real estate, you take care of it. So IPA and Columbia are addressed. Garden Hills getting updated and upgraded lighting. That will move us to item 12, which is future meetings. There's a regular board meeting December 12th and a board meeting on January 9th. We do not have a reason to go back into exec session. May I have a motion for adjournment?
So moved?
Soteropoulos Vasquez. Tammy, would you call roll?
Ms. Soteropoulos?
Yes.
Ms. Vasquez?
Yes.
Ms. Armstrong?
Yes.
Dr. Baker?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Kleppel?
Yes.
Ms. Shannon?
Oh, she's out. She was out. So 6. It is 8:48. We are adjourned.